Hello and welcome to the Heresy Lodge. I'm your host, Dylan Cooper. We're the Constant Coast over here.
Gavin Franklin.
And guys, we're here to talk about the Final Empire. This is our second time talking about the Final Empire.
It's Mistborn, right?
That's the series.
Where do you see Final Empire?
If I pull up the audiobook, it says Final Empire.
The fuck is that on the book?
No, maybe you have a special book.
It might just be the whole. Oh, I see it. First page.
No, that's weird. Mistborn, the Final Empire.
There it is.
Anyway, we are talking more about the Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. But before we get into that, as always, hit us up on our Discord. You find that pinned to our Twitter at Heresy Lodge. Email us at theheresiolodge@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube at the Heresy Lodge. We have merch. Check it out. Pint glasses are the best things to buy.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's it. Gavin, most important thing. What are you drinking?
Bourbon
Amen,
with
brother.
vermouth
Ooh.
and triple sec with a little bit of ginger beer.
Okay. Okay. What bourbon you got?
I'm drinking Bullet. I've got a few different bourbons, but that's kind of like an easy go-to.
Yeah, both solid. For me, last weekend, good old Haberdasher and good old Franklin, Indiana had their
Oh
one
yeah.
year anniversary.
Do you
And
go?
yeah, it was awesome.
We were thinking about going,
You should have
but
went. They had two releases, actually. So their original release for their 1 year is what I'm drinking tonight. It is their first ever rye whiskey. It is very good.
oh yeah.
They also had a special Spirit of Kwanjan. They only made 18 bottles of it. And I got one motherfucker.
You fucking got one. Save a little bit for me next time I'm
I
down.
haven't opened it yet, so I'll save it for you so we
All
can try
right.
it together. But yeah, it's really good. Normally, not really a big rye whiskey guy.
Hmm.
Something about it, I don't know. It's like a word on my tongue. It's almost like I think it's like weedy. Maybe it's the
I
wrong.
like wheat whiskey. I like wheated whiskey. It
I don't
tastes
know.
more sweet in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Normally, I'm not a big fan, but this one's really good. So highly recommend. I may or may not save this. I don't know if they sold out of it or not, but it's very, very good.
Probably 18 bottles. Great
That was the
distillery.
Spirit of Kwanjan was 18 bottles. They
Oh yeah.
had a few, I think at least a couple hundred bottles of the rye.
Right on. I hope that distillery does really well. I mean, they're
I do too. I
phenomenal.
love it. It's my favorite.
And their cocktails are just out of this
Yeah,
world.
the cocktails are great. All the booze they make are good. Like
Yep,
I've never been there like, wow, that sucked ass. I'm like, I can't wait to go back.
absolutely. Well, I thought I was reading the wrong book, but I guess not. I guess I'm reading Final Empire.
So I know that you're still on the title page. I finished the book. I also
Yeah,
finished Iron Gold. So I'm like really far ahead of books right now.
you are. I don't know what happened. We were neck and neck for 3 years, and then all of a sudden, I think a lot of it, a lot of the getting ahead was the fact that I had three weddings back to back, and you were able to read an entire book without me. But yeah, you definitely sped through the Final Empire, so nice job, kudos. But
Thank you.
I'm about halfway through, getting close to halfway. My plan is next time we record to be done with the book. I know I got to speed read a little bit. We'll see how that goes.
Cool. So last time we kind of talked about like magic and like the system around that. We maybe talked about some of the characters. It's been a
Yeah,
couple weeks, so sorry that we missed an episode last week, guys. Life happens. Before like when we did the Horus Heresy, we were very particular about releasing, and
weekly.
yes,
Yeah.
like we
Well,
would we would record two, 3 episodes at a time, just like make sure like it happened. We're a lot more lax now.
yeah, I feel like when we first started recording too, you were married, right?
Yep, I had just got married. We had just bought this
Just gotten
house.
married.
Yeah, because I think we started in December of 2020.
Yeah.
I got married in October of 2020.
Yeah. And we didn't make it big. We were expecting you guys to get us millions of views and then we could just do this full time, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, what the fuck,
What
guys?
the hell? What happened
You're
there?
supposed to tell your friends, your family, the random people on the fucking street. We need ads. We need more merch. We need more money.
Absolutely. If we could just be billionaires off of this.
Look, I'm trying to be a stay-at-home dad. All right. Unfortunately, my wife is the one that wants to leave her job. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Wait.
Opposite, opposite,
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
reverse.
That's great. No, so I think we left off when that she was recruited by
Kelsier.
Kelsier, recruited by Kelsier.
Yeah.
This is gonna be such a struggle, dude. Like every time you listen to audiobooks and I read the book, like it is a massacre of names.
Yeah, so Killamon. Who the fuck are you talking about? You know, the main guy. Kelsier? Yeah. Okay.
That's great. Yeah, we he just picked up Vin, I believe. I think that's where we're at.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so Vin was part of a thieving crew. Kelsier shows up because Kelsier's brother, I don't know if we've talked about that. Kelsier's brother is actually the obligator who then tried to use her luck on. That's what she called it at this time. We find out later that's Alamancy, but she
Oh,
used
that
her
was
luck.
Kelsier's brother?
Kelsier's brother. Yeah, you'll see that has to be soon.
Cool. Probably.
Because like as soon as like he shows up, like he meets her and he's like, "Oh, I remember you. You tried to use your soothing powers on me."
I've met him. I don't remember that conversation. Maybe I'm just crazy.
I mean, it might have been after that because there's the whole conversation like where he joins the crew or whatever.
Strange. Okay.
Yeah, so we find that out, and he is a 10 eye, which means he can burn 10, and that allows him to like figure out like if someone's burning metals, essentially.
Kelsier's brother.
Yep.
Okay.
But anyway,
Well,
good.
yeah, so Vin gets recruited by Kelsier and they run a quick test and they figured out that she can burn more than one metal,
Mhm.
which makes her a Mistborn.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, the Mistborn.
If you can burn more than one, you can burn them all.
Most of them can only burn one, but you can do all of it, dude. Pretty good.
I wonder, like, because they say like you get sick, so like I wonder like for the people who like do they just like all right try this metal, so let's see what fucking happens. Oh damn, you're throwing up doing it.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Because like if you leave metal in your body, you get sick. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
like
gonna figure
because you
out if
can't burn it
you're
if you can't use the power, right?
because the people who can only use one are
Yeah,
mistings, and the people who can use them all are misborn. And so yeah, that's probably right. They probably just get super sick. All right, here's a quick test.
man, that must fucking suck. Like, oh wait, I can burn this one. Let's see if we can burn this one.
So we find out that Vin, who I think is probably the main character, like at the end of the day, Vin,
Essentially, yes.
yeah, Vin is the main character. She is a Mistborn. And you know,
Although I think Sazed may or may not be the narrator. I think this is all story. I cannot confirm that off
is
of this one
Sazin
book.
the dude that's like the person that knows all the religions?
Yes.
I could see that. I like his character a lot.
Yeah, I think he may or may not be the narrator of the series. I don't know for sure, but it would make sense after finishing the first book.
Okay. So let me immediately jump into some some criticism of Brandon Sanderson. I don't want to get hung by the modern fantasy fans.
All three people listening right now are furious.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody will clip this somewhere in the future when, I take over the world and they'll be like,
Yeah,
look,
I
this
hope
guy
it's the
hates Brandon
YouTube video
Sanderson.
where it shows me as my name being Little Bitch Boy.
Oh, dang, I didn't realize that. So I have two main criticisms that are just like, in my opinion, fantasy writing, it's so tropey that I struggle with. And that's what I think is missing from, I'm missing the magic from Brandon Sanderson's book so far because it's so fucking tropey.
Yeah, I think there's a couple like the love angle for Vin. I don't you're there, right?
I'm not at the love angle, but I think I have a bit of an idea. It's definitely the dude from the East, right?
It's the Venture guy, Ellen.
Is it the guy who's
She
the
met at the ball,
smokers?
who was reading the book.
I don't think I know. I haven't met that yet.
Okay,
I'm
so
in the middle of that chapter.
it's a very big like the rich nobleman falling for the poor little scar girl. Like it's
Oh,
so fucking it's such a big trope, right?
okay.
It's
Little
so annoying.
Cinderella story.
Yes.
Okay.
Like that's probably like my least favorite storyline because I'm just like,
Okay.
man, this is just like too obviously in my face.
I have two that I'm not a huge fan of. I'm not a big fan of the main character just waking up one day and discovering that they're all powerful. Like that is just not an interest to me very much. I'm like, it just removes a lot of struggle. And then on top of that, as Kelsier begins to train Vin, it's like, wow, she's picking shit up real quick. I'm like, well, how convenient for the author to be able to do literally anything whenever they want because she's like
Yeah.
all powerful.
Yeah, I am like I I I don't know this for a fact, but it feels like she is not only Mistborn, but I think like
Something else.
yeah, I so what is Sazen's race? Um
Oh God, yes. I know what you're talking about. Says is like he's a dude. God, I literally see the word Says right here, but I don't know. I don't know what he is. He's the guy that can like, God, what are they called?
he's a keeper, but there's something
Yes,
else. Oh my gosh, like he's a specific rate. Not
Terraceman.
even yes, he's a terraceman.
He absorbs metal essentially.
Yeah, from what it seems like, she has that power too. So I
She's a
would assume
dual.
her mother was somehow like an awful one, like they didn't murder her or something. Like that's the only thing that would make sense with her being so powerful.
Yeah. So let's talk
But it's
about
also
like
like a trope, right? Like the main
the
character is
chosen
like
one.
somehow the most, yeah, she's the chosen one.
She's the chosen one. I hate the chosen one trope.
I agree. I
It's
I really like someone just getting the shit kicked out of them over and over again, and they have to fucking work for it.
yeah, and like I also love like I think George R. R. Martin does like an incredible job at this kind of stuff when he writes because it's like not that there's prophecy or anything, but he's like, what is prophecy? What is the chosen one? You know, like
Yeah,
it's just people living life. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, this person might have this power here, but it can crumble,
yeah.
you know? And I do feel this like chosen one. It's very, I'll tell you what Brandon Sanderson reminds me of, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for this for sure, especially from Trainwreck if he still listens. It's very Star Warsy, and I'm not a huge Star Wars fan.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah, because it's
Also
just
not a
very
Star Wars
trope.
fan.
Yeah, very tropey. The second thing I really struggle with, and this is like a huge thing for me, something that I tout very heavily in fantasy, that I'm like, this is why I believe that Tolkien is the grandfather of fantasy, and I feel like people after Tolkien have not actually followed in his footsteps the right way. I hate it when the main character starts where the story starts and their life is miserable. It's absolutely terrible. It's the worst thing in the world. And it just improves because they have some magical power that they didn't know, or they get whisked away on some adventure. I love the idea in the Lord of the Rings. Like I think it's the most prominent idea to me that like the hobbits, they loved living in the Shire. Like everything was good, everything was happy.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I think like something like too, like because we compared this to the Red Rising series, right? Like
mm-hmm.
thing I liked about Red Rising is like Daro, like all they knew were the mines. Like they
Yeah,
thought they were. suffering so the world could be better later.
Yeah.
Like that's a such like a cool story, and then it's like, yeah, man, so like my brother raised me to just fucking hate everyone, and everyone is
The
a piece
world
of shit.
sucks. Yeah. And I'll give this to Pierce Brown too. One of the things that I think Pierce Brown, and this is after reading a portion of this book, Pierce Brown did this thing in Red Rising that was like, yes, the world sucked for the Reds and Mars, but when he came back to visit his mother, she knew how it was.
Yeah,
She knew that people were living on the top of the planet. She was like, look, like we can be happy where we are.
yeah.
That's huge. Like I don't think you're gonna get that from Vin. I don't think she's gonna be like, man, I miss the days
A
that I
piano
was on the
ska.
thieving crew. Being a Scot, yeah. It's like I really struggle with a scenario of like everything's just shitty from the get-go, and it's these magical powers that I found that are going to make it to where I can make it not shitty.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a struggle. I I don't like that trope. I love the way Tolkien did it, where he's like, no, like you're happy and like you're going on this adventure and you're not happy about it. But the things that happen on the adventure change you as a person. So when you come back home, you love that you did it.
Yeah,
That I think is a huge deal. I think that's a big deal because I think it's more relatable personally.
yeah,
I hate the doom and gloom scenario.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, so we have the recruitment of Ven, and from there we start meeting the other characters of Kelsier's crew. We've already met Doxson, who is his right hand man, not an Allomancer, just he is their politician essentially.
Probably my favorite character so far.
Yeah, I like Doxson a lot. You meet Ham, who is they call him fuck, what do they call?
Well, he burns pewter.
Yes, they have
Um,
they're thugs. That's what the pewter burners are. They're thugs
Thugs, yeah, that's right.
because they're super strong because they can burn pewter. You meet Breeze, who is a soother, which is what then originally was doing before was soothing people. That's his only power. He's very good at it. You meet who else is in that crew? You already met
Wait, did you?
Sazed,
What was the soother's name?
Breeze,
Breeze. Yeah, you got Breeze. You have Docs. I
Ham.
like Docs a lot.
Yeah,
I also like how he distrusts soothers. I do enjoy how Brandon Sanderson writes soothers because I think it's a really interesting conversation.
yes.
I feel like there's one more. Am I wrong or maybe that's it? Because the one they wanted to recruit was Kelsier's brother, but that didn't happen yet. And then the leader
Spoiler
of
alert, he joins.
the leader of the Ska Rebellion,
Yes, I can't think of his name.
almost a minor character.
He is a minor character at the end of the day.
So that basically what you find out is the leader of the Ska Rebellion paid Kelsier and his crew to kill to overthrow the final empire, which is kind of insane. Like if you compare it to something like think back to when Al Capone was in charge of Chicago and then somebody goes in and pays him to like kill the president of the United States and overthrow the US government. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's fair. They didn't have superpowers though, so maybe it's not that crazy.
That's true. I guess when you throw superpowers into the mix, that adds a
He just
little
had a
extra
gun, you know?
I'll tell you what, I think guns would do pretty good here. Plastic guns? I bet you plastic guns are going to be something that comes up in the next series when it goes more futuristic.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I wish would have finished this book because everything that's like super interesting happens at the end.
God damn it. Of course it does. This is just
Like
weak
it's
on my
very
part.
much just like it's just like
Setup.
a very linear story. Like you have the gathering of the crew, right? And then they all have their jobs, so they have to go and perform their jobs. Like we have Breeze, the soother, who is going through recruiting of soldiers. Like he's going through, and Kelsier comes up, and he's like, "Listen, I survived the mines, and it was hell.
Well,
It's
let me do
because the
this.
Empire sucks ass."
Let me throw out some theories.
All right.
And I don't want you to confirm or deny my theories. I want you to spoil it for me.
Okay.
But my initial thoughts on reading this piece, just like you were saying, they start doing a lot of recruiting. And everyone has their roles, but Vin is a very suspicious person, and she has a really hard time like aligning with Kelsier and trusting him and trusting everyone else on the team because it's just not the way of life that was she grew up with. But she also picks up her Mistborn powers like very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I can see Vin making some very questionable moral decisions in the future with the power that she has. That's what I get from her character. She does a lot of things where it's like, I don't have sympathy for these people, even though they treated me poorly. I don't have sympathy for their deaths. She does things like she just doesn't feel a lot of emotion. She will do things like listen to people's private conversations because she feels like she needs to like know. So like she's a person who's grown up in this very shitty situation, and now she's been granted all these powers, and she's using them in what would probably be considered immoral ways, but she thinks of it more like surviving. So I can see her maybe growing into maybe not an antagonist, but maybe have a quick antagonist arc where she's got to figure herself out a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, so, like, coming into this, like, where I was at, like, these are the things I assume would happen. I will not confirm or deny what happens. I would assume Finn falls in love with a rich guy. That the
Classic.
Yep, they fail killing the what the fuck's his name? Supreme
The
Leader.
supreme guy, yes. I don't know.
Um,
But yeah, I agree. I believe that's going to happen
because
as well.
there's five other books, right?
I think Kelsier is going to die.
I get to that. Yep, that's something that could happen.
I think someone will betray them.
Okay, fascinating.
If I had to guess who would betray them, it would be Breeze.
That'd be a good one to choose.
I think, hmm, Kelsier's a very interesting character because you don't know a lot about his past in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You know that he worked in the mines, and one thing that's incredibly interesting about Kelsier is he wasn't a Mistborn before he left for the mines, and then he came back a Mistborn.
So it does talk about like whenever you become an Allomancer, it's literally like something tragic happens in your life and it like snaps the power.
Really?
Yeah. So like his brother, it talks like his brother like got the power like super early. Like he was like 8.
Yeah,
I think it was like associated with like their mother's death or something like that. And then Kelsier's big moment was his wife dying.
his wife. I find it interesting that there is a dynamic between him and his brother that is not yet explored. It definitely seems like his brother may have been in love with his wife.
It's definitely heavily implied.
Yeah. So I think they're going to explore Kelsier a little bit more, but it's going to be more like an after death scenario, kind of like the Dumbledore scenario where Harry Potter's walking around like, who the fuck was this guy?
Yeah, it's fair. I'm trying to think like the theories I had going in.
I thought for a while there,
I
no,
Ben's brother showing up. I assumed that he would appear in this book somewhere.
yeah, and he's got to like be something. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I mean, there's no way only one of the siblings has powers. That wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, because if your theory is true in the sense that she's one of these like special, like a combination of the two races, then her brother has to be at least one of them.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting. Um, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about like what happens after they make the plan. They basically sign Vin up for infiltrating the upper class society
Yeah.
in order to secure weapons.
Well, not
Is
even
that
like
correct?
weapons too. So like her whole thing is like spreading rumors and getting the gossip.
Sowing discourse.
Hmm. Yeah, because noble people aren't. It's like any social event, right? Like people like to talk their shit, and that's how you're gonna find out all the shit that's happening with all the other houses.
Is it like a very gold-esque society?
I mean, yeah, kind of. I
Yeah.
would. That's probably a fair comparison. Like, I mean, they're just rich assholes who have powers and control
But some of them have
society.
redeemable qualities because they don't agree with their parents.
Whoa, man, this is some spoiler territory, but yeah.
Is that what's
Weird,
happening?
huh?
Shit, that's weird.
What do you mean daddy's wrong? There might be a really pissed off ex somewhere. I don't know. That doesn't sound right, right?
There's like a one of the things I find interesting is Keltier is like working with this secret metal that's supposed to beat the Dark Lord. The Lord Ruler. That's who it is.
The Dark Lord,
The Dark
the leader of
Lord.
the Sith.
Yes, he's coming, and I have a metal. I don't know how to use it, but I plan to jam it up his ass. See what
No, you have
happens.
to shove it up your own ass so you can burn it. You got to understand the system.
I'm opening up the ancient manual. It says, first shove this stick of metal up my ass. Oh, God.
Like all
Okay.
the do I lube it? Is lube allowed?
You get to step 20. Disregard the first step. Son of a bitch. I should have read
You're
all the
supposed to
instructions.
swallow it.
I should have read
I
all the instructions up front.
I gotta shut this out and eat it. God
What's
damn
wrong with me?
it!
During this time, Vin goes through a whole bunch of training, and dives more into the powers and how they work and everything that happens with it. Like we said, she tends to pick it up like crazy quickly. Let's talk a little bit. There's a scene that was interesting to me where they go into the mists outside the city wall and they run into a mist wraith.
Mhm.
And Kelsier is like, yeah, whatever, there's the mist wraiths. Not a big deal. And apparently everyone else is like, no, they're fucking terrible. They're evil. They're like the weirdest fucking
Yeah, it's
organism
like blobs
that
that just eat
absorb.
things.
They eat things, but then what they eat, a part of them becomes. So like a lot of them are just like random limbs and random heads of various animals and humans.
Yeah, like that's they just eat things on the ground. They're just fucking scavengers.
I'm wondering like how they will play into the story. Kelsier hinted that some of the noble people tend to utilize them in their great game. I'm like, how? Well, that's weird.
I mean, I can talk about this. I don't think it's a spoiler if
Sure.
you want. Okay, so there's like almost like a full on like race. I can't remember what they're called. It's a weird thing, but like they're they're either like kind of like a mist wraith or they're like an evolved form of a mist wraith where like what they do is if they eat they can eat a body and take its bones and basically become visually that person.
Oh, is that what the Lord, the person that is like
Hmm.
impersonating the dead Lord is? Okay.
Yep. Yep, and you're like you'll see later like Venture has one and Daddy Venture, not Ellen. Daddy Venture has one and like Ellen's like, ugh, he's in a new body. That's fucking creepy.
Yeah, that is kind of strange.
Yeah,
But they're not, but they're like sentient and they have, they're like humans
kind of.
to where they can have allegiances.
Yeah, so like they have like contracts, but like the contracts are paid with um fuck, what's that metal called? That the Lord Ruler
A-
always has. Atrium?
Atrium or,
Yeah, atrium, I think. Something like
yeah,
that.
atrium.
So like they have to pay for contracts with that, but like it doesn't ever mention that they are allomancers. So I don't know like why they would pay with that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So let's talk a little bit about atrium. So atrium is this special metal, and essentially, from what we understand, and Kelsey was brought to light, is it's actually being mined in like the this prison colony, and no one knows about it, but it's been stockpiled for years and years by the Lord Ruler. So that's really interesting that you kind of bring up this idea that like these shapeshifters are being paid in atrium, but they're not
Yeah.
allomancers. So what are they doing with it? Is it really just a form of currency? How are they dealing with that on the markets? What is the Lord Ruler? And why does he need all this atrium?
Yeah. I mean, there's there's honestly a lot of questions, and a lot of questions don't get answered at the end of this book either. So you're just like, all right.
I kind of like that. I like the mystery layer. That's like,
Yeah, I
okay,
mean,
there's
I think it makes sense like if he like started this like okay, like I have a series in mind.
hmm
Because like you're definitely ends with a lot of questions. You have all the tropes, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. I really hate how he does the love angle just because it's just like so stereotypical.
I struggle a little bit because I started reading The Way of Kings like a while back. I just read like probably the first 10 chapters. I don't know how much I like how Brandon Sanderson writes women. It's a little awkward sometimes, especially like whimsical women, I feel like. Like Vin's a very serious person, and you could basically write her as a guy and it'd be the same thing.
Yeah.
And maybe that comes out in the love angle. From what I've heard, is Brandon Sanderson does struggle quite a bit with the love side of writing.
Yeah. It's weird. I don't know. I mean, like the book's good. Don't get me wrong. I don't
Yeah, you've
like
read it.
I
What
would
would you rank it?
probably seven.
A seven, dude. The seven is like that's an IGN score. Come on.
Probably. I mean, it's very like it's not a bad book. I think it's an average book. I'm not like, wow, that's the best book
So
I've
like a
ever read.
five,
I mean, yeah, uh, six. Like I would say it's a six.
a six. Yeah. I it's missing something. It's missing. Now I haven't finished it, but I feel like it's missing soul.
Yeah, like there's like some things that happen. Like there's some like character deaths and like stuff like that, which is like it's good to see. I'm glad of that.
hmm
But like it's also very tropey, and like the ending is also just like, really? This is how we're bringing it out more? Okay, whatever.
Do you think that Brandon Sanderson may be focusing too much on the details?
Probably.
That's how I feel.
Like it's almost like he gets like too wrapped up into his own thing.
Yes. It doesn't leave a lot of room for explanation or wonder to the reader so far, is how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't feel a sense of wonder. In the 40K universe, there's a lot of wonder.
Because there's a lot of shit that just goes wrong.
Yeah, and that can go in the negative way. We get really upset with the amount of wonder because they won't answer anything. It's very annoying. And so far with this book, I feel the opposite. It's like you're answering too much.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
mean, like, after this book ends, like, I don't know how it's dragged out for four more books, five more books.
Well, I think they do. I think it's just three books, and then they do a whole different like tone shift, like different character list. But I'm not sure. I might be wrong.
Yeah, yeah, I seen that like there's like a time skip maybe if like to the future, but I don't know for a fact, obviously.
Okay, interesting. Well, how you feeling about your Steelers?
Good. They're about to be
Pretty
the
fucking good. I bet you
see how
do
they beat
feel.
the if they beat the Commanders this weekend.
Uh, I just I'm okay with you guys going to the playoffs because I know deep down we beat you, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I guess.
That's all that matters to me. We put in old man Joe thinking that Anthony Richardson was a problem. Now, to be fair,
It does suck.
I I gotta really back up Joe Flacco here. I mean, 3 weeks in a row, we're gonna be going against the Vikings, the Bills, and the Lions. I mean, that's a scary fucking lineup for
Yeah, I
three
mean,
weeks.
people are like so like mad over like what happened with Joe last week, but the Vikings defense is very good.
Very fucking
Like
good.
I don't
Very
understand
good.
like why the people are like, well, fucking Richardson would have blown them away. They have not been blown away. They have been very good all season.
They really have. And I look at like um our defense. What I take away from that game was like, God damn, like our defense is like figuring shit out.
Yeah, yeah, they're getting better for sure.
Yeah, they're figuring shit out, and that's good. Like, well, like we scored more points on defense than we did on offense. How are you feeling about the Watt?
What
He's
do you
still
mean?
killing it up there, or are his numbers kind of declining a bit?
He's still fantastic. He was just rated the mid-season defensive player of the year.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
just being a monster. Do you know
just
how
being
many
good.
sacks he's got?
I have no idea.
Kind of a monster though.
He's pretty
Who's
good.
your like? If you had to guess right now, your prediction, who's gonna win the Super Bowl? I've got a pick.
Super Bowl. I really want it to be the Lions if it's not the Steelers.
I think it's gonna be the Lions, dude. I really do. Like
I don't
they
know. They
look
might be
fucking
cursed.
good. They look fucking good though, dude.
Like
They look
I,
good.
I would not be surprised if Kansas City wins, just because they just always fucking somehow win. But if it's not the Steelers, I want it to be the Lions.
If it's not the Colts, I want it to be the Lions, and it won't be the Colts, but I I want it to be the Lions. Now, like I do think, like just looking at it, I do think that the Lions are the best team in the NFL right now.
They look
Like
good.
they look really good.
Look
So
real good.
that's my personal prediction. I don't. I mean, I think the Colts would get very lucky if they made it to the playoffs at this point.
Yeah, it's
But
fair.
we'll see. See what happens. Steelers are
Yeah,
looking good for the playoffs.
yeah. Still have half a season left. We'll see.
Hmm.
Well, guys, that is part of the Final Empire. Next week we will finish the Final Empire, assuming Gavin finishes.
Yeah, hopefully, hopefully.
As always, hit us up on Discord, find that pin to our Twitter at Heresy Lodge. Email us at theheresylodge@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube at the Heresy Lodge. Buy our merch. Get the pint glasses. They're the best things to get. They're also, the sweatshirts are nice. Get a sweatshirt.
They are actually
They'll
nice.
keep you warm. It's getting cold out there. Have a good one, guys.